and welcome back to another live video. I am chilling outside. It is a beautiful day here. It's a bit overcast, but still so beautiful, so green. Today we're talking about CERN. I think it's super appropriate to talk about CERN, especially because they are about to turn the Hadron Collider. It's either Hadron. I'm going to call it Hadron. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm not very great at pronunciation. So they're about to turn that on tomorrow. And I want to start off by saying that everything in this video is channeled, so take it or leave it. I'm not reading blogs, articles, I'm not watching videos on this. I have no idea what the current rhetoric is. I have no idea what other people are saying or where they're getting their sources. So, as always today, please take or leave any of this information, but also please keep an open mind, all right? Because some crazy shit. It's some, we're not talking about, expanding consciousness here. We are, but we're not. So yeah, just keep an open mind and be compassionate as always in the comments section with this information. All right, but I do want to hear your thoughts. Today is July 4th, so I would say happy July 4th slash I call it America Day. And we just had Canada Day, but I'm just going to be real with you guys. I don't celebrate Canada Day or July 4th or Thanksgiving for the very reason that we are celebrating the mass genocide of many Indigenous people. And I can't do that. It just feels wrong to do that. So, I'm not opposed to lighting off fireworks on the off days because that's really fun. But yeah, I don't really believe in celebrating the colonialism of land that was never ours. And of course, we can argue it wasn't the indigenous either, and no one really owns this land, but I just wanted to put that out there. And officially, this is my last live video in my 20s. Yeah, I'm about to turn 30 on July 8th, which is on Friday. So I don't know. I don't really feel any sort of way about it. I also really celebrate birthdays, even though I do have all my friends and family members coming to celebrate. But age is just relative. I think it is weird all of a sudden not being in my 20s or not being like young in a sense. But whatever. I don't know. I don't know what else to say about that. I'm gonna leave it there. I do want to invite all of you to join me on July 11th for the Inner Earth Summit. Probably the first and last time we ever do an Inner Earth Summit. I've been really connecting to Inner Earth and in ways that I've never done before. So I have lots of information to share with all of you and so many brand new beings that I've never even talked about that are going to be coming through for the July 11th Inner Earth Summit. So instead of doing the Galactic Federation Summit, we're doing Inner Earth. And if you want to get your Inner Earth questions in, if you want to ask Inner Earth questions, please go over to my Instagram, check out my GFL Inner Earth post, and comment your questions on that post. If you haven't already followed me on Instagram, definitely do that as well. All right. The only other thing that I would want to mention is yes, the Get Woke Bootcamp. For whatever reason, I felt intuitively drawn to just mention I have a 30-day Get Woke Bootcamp that is basically designed to ask you specific questions, hold your hand through every single day of the 30 days in order to recreate your reality, in order to switch up the neural pathways in your brain and to get you aligned. So if you feel like you're hitting a wall, if you feel like you're stuck, if you feel like you aren't moving forward and you're repeating these patterns, then I do recommend the Get Woke Bootcamp. All right. Other than that, please subscribe, like, and share this video if you do enjoy it, because that always helps me. And the greatest gift that I have on my 30th birthday this Friday is the gift of this community, because for such a long time I felt like I was alone. I felt like everything I was channeling was absolutely crazy and that no one would ever get it or believe me or question the way that I do. So, yeah, I do really just appreciate all of you being here at this time. All right, intuitive mug. I ran and got something from my fridge. I'll take a sip and I'll ask you about what's in my mug at the end of this video. And thank you so much, Adam, for that super chat. Really do appreciate that. All right. Okay. So the way that I channeled this information is through a combination of remote viewing and telepathy. So with remote viewing, what I'm able to do is I'm able to actually go over to CERN, to the Large Hadron Collider, and see what's going on there. Like I can actually take a look at these places. CERN in particular is heavily guarded by a lot of not so great spirits and entities. So I'll put that out there that I did have a bit of a tricky time getting there to begin with. And then through telepathy, I did go over to the Galactic Federation and I basically asked them, what's your opinion on this? And I was quite, I would say I was quite emotionally charged. I asked questions like, is this allowed? Why aren't you stopping this? Isn't this a bad thing? Like, I was pretty emotional about going over there, but they had some really great responses, and that's all included in this information. Once again, as always, you guys, take it or leave it. I'm not here to convince you. I understand that a lot of you haven't yet tapped into your own abilities to receive this information, and I'm excited for when you do, because it would make my job a lot easier. So let's just start off with what is CERN? There are people here who have no idea what CERN is. CERN is an organization that started actually quite a long time ago, and they've developed this. It literally looks like a giant donut, and what this donut does is it takes the tiniest particles and atoms and neutrons and whatever else is in there, and it moves them close to the speed of light, and it smashes these tiny particles together. Why would they be doing this? Their upfront reason doing this, like their, I guess, public reason for doing this is they say that they want to recreate the Big Bang in order to better understand how this universe got created. And they have had some breakthroughs and some pretty incredible discoveries, like the Higgs boson particle, which is also considered the God particle, which we won't get into. That being said, there's a lot of stuff that's happening on the back end that they will not mention to the public. And there's some interesting things that came through here with what they're doing. Okay, so I want to actually backtrack to 2012. All right, I want to backtrack to 2012 for one huge main reason. There was an event that took place in 2012. Once again, I have to stress, please take or leave any of this information. It is all channeled. Now, if you recall, the first time I ever met the Galactic Federation was at the end of 2011. Specifically, it was December 21st, 2011. And I remember that date so clearly because we were all getting ready for the end of the world. It was a few months after this first Galactic Federation meeting where I went up to the Galactic Federation mothership. I spoke with the Pleiadian Security Council, and they gave me, and I've said this actually quite a few times in videos before, but of course videos get lost. I have to start with this, all right? So essentially, it was the craziest thing. There was an image that the Security Council gave me, and the image was projected on a hologram projector, and the image was of two Earths. And I'm looking at these two Earths that both look like Earth, but there's two of them. And I'm like, what are you trying to say here? Like, what are you doing? What are you showing me? This doesn't make sense. Why would there be two Earths? I'm so confused. And they told me, okay, that something happened with a machine on planet Earth that essentially destroyed, or the way that they put it is collapsed the old reality that we had. And the way that they put it is the old reality that we had was going down one trajectory, one timeline, one reality. And they said that that one reality or timeline was being controlled by certain beings, and that it wasn't in the control of humanity, and that that was a huge issue. And so this thing happened, and the way that I think interpreted it back then was that it was a mistake. I mean, how could it not be a mistake to collapse an entire reality? And so what they told me back then, so this is like shortly after the dawning of 2012, they said that there are now two separate realities. And so I was confused. I was like, but I don't see another Earth around. And they said, no, 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 that's not how it works. And the holograph or hologram basically took these two Earths side by side and it overlapped them. And he said that there was two distinct timelines that were overlapping each other and simultaneously existing. And I said, well, I don't understand this. How does it even how is that even possible? And what they told me is that at the time when the old reality collapsed, there was a split in the vibrational frequency. And from what I understand with quantum physics, so I got that at that time, that two different vibrations, okay, vibrations of a different frequency cannot coexist in the same space. So what the Security Council told me is that it split. The reality, the timelines split. It split because the vibrations were different at the time of the reality collapse. So instead of going into another stable timeline, we actually split and divided into two. Nowadays, we understand. I mean, I had no idea what this was back in 2012. Nowadays, we can call it 3D or 5D. The Galactic Federation like to call it Old Earth and New Earth. They don't like using the dimensional terms because they say that we misunderstand what exactly the fifth dimension is. And I completely agree with them. I still don't really fully know what the fifth dimension is. Old Earth and New Earth. That's how they described it to me back then. It's important that we understand what happened back then, because now I realize that it was CERN and their technology that actually collapsed that timeline. Up to this point in time, I have no idea if CERN was trying to do this, if this was an accident, if this was a malicious attempt to do something. I'm not sure. Now, I want to tell you a couple of changes that happened after 2012 with the change of these two separate timelines. One, the first thing I noticed almost right away back in 2012 is that the sun was different. I know this is going to sound super weird and woo woo and whatever, but I specifically noticed that the sun was brighter and whiter. All right. So before, you could think of the sun as like these beautiful golden orangey rays that were coming down. And for whatever I still don't have an explanation as to why, but this is just something I personally noticed, that the sun all of a sudden it was just like a like a whiter light for whatever reason. I don't know. It's just something I noticed. The second thing that I really noticed happening after 2012 is that there were way more Mandela effects. And that just makes sense, because if we're all of a sudden going from one stable timeline where we know what to expect in the next moment because it's a stable timeline, to all of a sudden two very different, very competing timelines, we're going to notice way more glitches in the matrix and way more polarity. We are noticing more and more polarity because people are in different frequencies, they're in different vibrations. And that can be difficult to accept sometimes. And I'm definitely a fall victim to accepting the difference in vibration and understanding of consciousness and things like that. The third thing that I noticed, of course, is a shift in consciousness. I want to ask you right now, when did you wake up? Did you wake up in 2020? Because I know a lot of you did. Did you wake up in 2012? So many people I talked to are like, I quit my job, I left my husband, and I started a Reiki practice in 2012. And I know a lot of you woke up either just before then or just after then. And once again, the reason why is because we were able to experience a consciousness shift because the vibration around us matched that frequency. All right. I had to start with 2012 because I truly believe we hopped into different timelines after 2012, and I truly believe that CERN is at fault for that, which is pretty freaking scary when you think about it. What else are they capable of, and what are the intentions behind this machine that is actually able to shift, not only shift, but fully destroy timelines? All right. Okay, so let's talk about two things, dark agenda and light agenda. We cannot have one without the other. Like I said, we're existing in the old Earth and the new Earth simultaneously. We have to talk about both frequencies with everything. So I have been channeling CERN, and I have been remote viewing CERN since then, since 2012, for a number of years. Um, so I can confirm from what I've channeled and what I've actually seen there that CERN, there are some really corrupt individuals who are running CERN, who are for the purpose of working with this machine for the purpose of opening up portals, and with those portals they are bringing through dark energies and dark entities. So I've seen that before, and then they're also creating black holes. I've never actually understood the reason why they're creating black holes. I don't think that it was ever for the purpose of destroying, but why would you freaking want to create? Oh, this is what it was. Yeah, actually, I do know this. I think I channeled this back in like maybe 2016, 2017. They're opening black holes to better understand time and space and how to jump through time and space. So their purpose, like this is what I channeled back then, it just came to me. Their purpose was to create a little black hole, to expand it, and not only to expand it, but to stabilize it in order to not just better understand black holes, but to maybe do some like time warping or like time jumping, even though I do believe they already have time travel technology. Um, and then, of course, they're working with the Hadron Collider to mess with our timelines. And I haven't necessarily picked up on a specific about that. However, there's something very specific about what they're doing right now. And I guess let's just talk about it. Let's just get into it. All right. So right now at this time, like this is what I tuned into today, all right, in a deep state of trance. What are they doing right now? What are they doing basically? Uh it's not necessarily for portals and dark energies, even though that's kind of a consequence of what they're doing over there. It is more so, this is the specific reason of why they're starting it up again. It is more so to change our timeline away from the Great Awakening. This is what they're trying to do, to change our timeline away from the Great Awakening. Duh, it makes sense. They're threatened, they're outnumbered, they're scared. They're honestly scared that we're waking up. And in some regard, like think about karmically, they destroyed our main stable timeline where a lot of us were asleep, where so many were just sheeple, just following, yes, our government is taking care of us. Yes, I trust my president, you know? And then all of a sudden they collapse that timeline. They're like, oh shit, we actually contributed to the awakening. And now they're trying to rewrite that. They're trying to go back and fix their mistake, right? um, which I think is kind of laughable, but also not funny at all because this is serious technology that has serious implications and, like, yeah, serious implications essentially. So this is what they're trying to do now. Now, I want to say it is no surprise that they are starting this up again right after what America Day. I don't know, July 4th. A lot of people will be drinking. A lot of people will be celebrating. The general vibration of America, anyway, the rest of the world doesn't care, is going to be low. All right. I think everything happens for a reason in that way. I think what they're going to be trying to do is I think that they're going to try and shift us into a lower timeline. This is really important. Put a pin on that for a second, and let's go over to the light agenda, okay? So once again, I went over to the Pleiadian Security Council and I said, guys, this is not okay. Because I just channeled what they were trying to do. And then I went over to the GFL all pissed off and I said, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like, are you not taking care of this? Are you not monitoring this? Like, what is going on? The implications for the universe are huge. A couple things that they mentioned that I thought were interesting. One is it's very unusual. They said for such a low level, they called this low level, for such a low level species to have this technology, but they also said that that technology came from them. It came from interdimensional beings. It did not come from human minds, as they would like us to believe. And so I said, I told them, I said, aren't the implications of this huge? Like, is this not really detrimental for the rest of the universe? And they said, yes, but they also said that just like in 2012, like, okay, they basically said that in 2012 they wanted something to happen. They wanted to also shift our timelines or bring about a collapse or catastrophe or fear or dark entities coming through portals. And look what happened, right? It spawned this huge awakening. And so they said that this is all a part of the contracts of planet Earth to go through this in order for us to take our power back. And I said, well, how are we supposed to take our power back? And they said, through creating the timeline that you want. And I am going to go into a whole rant here, but before I get there, I wanted to talk about something else. I said, are they even allowed to do this? Like, this doesn't seem like morally right. It seems like it just seems irresponsible. It seems utterly irresponsible. And this is what they said. They said that there are parameters. There are parameters on what they are able to do at CERN. And I said, well, what do you mean? And they told me that, okay, I don't know if you know this, but they've shut down a lot of the nuclear testing from countries all over the world, which created nuclear proliferation, which is like a nuclear arms race, but no one's actually able to fire them off because, simply put, the Galactic Federation will shut them down. And all these governments, especially the high up elites of the governments, know that they actually can't launch their nukes because they're literally not allowed to, because it has major implications for the solar system and also major implications for the rest of the universe, right? It's like the butterfly effect. One small change makes a huge impact. In this way, nuclear testing, nuclear bombs make a huge impact. Same thing with nukes. It's like that we shouldn't have that technology. So that being said, they basically said that they put limits on what CERN is even able to do because the technology is so vast. So I just wanted to put that out there. So what else did they say? They also told me that there are, let's call them white hats that work. They called them double agent white hats, essentially. They didn't call white hats. I'm calling them white hats. But essentially there are, not ambassadors, but there are volunteers. There are starseeds that work at CERN that are in full communication with the Galactic Federation, that are simultaneously in full communication with the dark side, and they're playing the double game. And essentially they're on our side. They're working for the light at CERN, but it's all top secret. So I think that was really interesting as well. And then what else did they mention? There was something else that I wanted to mention about what they said. Yeah, I'll leave it for now. But yeah, there was a whole conversation of back and forth. Oh yeah, okay. I'm probably gonna mess this up because it was very specific, but I'm gonna mention it. So I said to them, is it not against the law of non-intervention for these elites to have this technology and then to mess with our timeline? Like, I'm sorry, but this is not okay. And like I said, don't shoot the messenger because it's very complex. But anyway, I'm just gonna say it, or try and say it. So essentially they said that humanity as a whole is asking for help. We're asking to be saved. We're asking for a change. And because we're asking for a change, because we're asking for help, it gives them the right in this crazy, the elites have the ability to manipulate karma. They have the ability to manipulate what we ask for. They can't do anything unless we ask for it. So essentially what the GFL said is, in some sort of weird, twisted way, humanity is asking for help. Why? Because the elites have forced us into this position where we're just begging for any sort of intervention, which is allowing them the capability to turn this thing on and to change our timeline through the guise of helping us. I know it's all twisted and messed up, but they have the ability to basically manipulate what we're asking for and to manipulate the laws of the universe in that way because they understand the laws of the universe. I don't agree with it. You definitely don't and shouldn't agree with it, but that's literally just what their response was. That being said, okay, the Galactic Federation assured us that there are so many people at this point in time, way more than there ever were before in 2012, that are raising their vibration, that are questioning the reality around us, that are waking up. And because of that, we have a really, really, really good opportunity here. This is an opportunity to shift the timeline into the highest vibration. CERN, okay, if CERN messes with the timelines again, it means many things, and it could mean really terrible things as well, because they're actually putting the intention of putting us into a duller, more limiting, more controlled timeline. All right, they've tried to do that in a very overt way for the past however many years, right? They've really tried. I mean, they've been so obvious about trying to push us into a lower frequency timeline. And a lot of us, unfortunately, are taking the bait of fear, are taking the bait of limitation. And I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. But essentially, if we hold the highest timeline, we override their intentions. If CERN or the elites have an intention of putting us into a lower timeline, but we, the people, being the majority of the population, okay, 99% of us, if we all set the highest vibration for what we want, then the second they open up this machine and it gets all weird and lucid and chaotic and we're just skimming through all the timelines, it will pick up on the most prominent timeline. Which means, all right, I get chills just thinking about it, which means we may not actually need to have a solar flare event or some sort of huge vibrational frequency hitting the planet to shift us into a higher frequency. We actually have the ability to utilize what CERN is doing for our benefit to hop into the highest timeline. Once again, the elites are sticking their foot in their mouth, thinking in an egoic way that they have all the power. If you fear the worst possible timeline, you will create it. And I'm going to say that again. If you fear the worst possible timeline, you're going to create it. So this is what the Galactic Federation also brought through. They called it false agenda events. I'm going to repeat that again. False agenda events, okay? Essentially, they were saying that there are conspiracies that are created to further distract and divide us. To further distract and divide us. Why? Because the more fearful we are of the fact that we no longer have our power or our rights, the more we create the reality where we no longer have our power or our rights. Okay? So what's the opposite of distraction and division? Presence and unity. Presence and unity, presence and unity, presence and unity. It's not to say that fucked up things are not happening, okay? It's not to say that agendas are not taking place. It's not to say that there is a giant conspiracy, giant manipulation, giant agenda that's taking place all over the planet. But guess what? That's been going on since the dawning of humanity. This is not new, all right? What is new is that we're feeding into it. Their plan is working. I cannot stress this enough, that this is the problem. that's saying, oh, well, you're wrong because I read this article and there's this person saying this thing and they're out to get us and this is bad and that's bad and this is wrong and you're wrong. And it's all division. It's all division. Can we not agree on basic fundamentals in humanity to create unity and harmony? Here's what I want to agree on. Here's what I say, that we should all just lay down our pickaxes and our, keyboard warrior spirit, and let's agree on equality. We're all equal. We're all the same. Every bird, every worm, every plant, every animal, every human, we're all the same. We're all consciousness. We all deserve equality. We all deserve a right to speak our truth. We all deserve to be heard. The second thing I want to agree on is unconditional love. Let's all agree that we all deserve unconditional love, which means acceptance, forgiveness, compassion. And the third thing I want to agree on, I really want to agree on, is peace. We all deserve the peace of being in neutrality, of agreeing on basic fundamental human rights like free will, like equality, like unconditional love. All right? We need to start agreeing on things, on basic things. I want you to seriously ask yourself, throughout the 24 hours of your day, where does your mind go? Does it go on to the fourth dimension, to the third dimension? Does it go to how fucked up this world is? Or does it go to how beautiful this world is? I know for me personally, 98% of my day, other than the odd day or two, is spent on just observing the beauty. And I've been in downtown LA also observing the beauty, right? I mean, I'm on a beautiful land, but I've also been in not beautiful places observing the beauty of reality. That's what I choose to create. All right? So I have homework for all of you, and homework for myself as well. We can all agree that our thoughts create this reality. We can all agree that CERN is about to open up some crazy timelines. And we can all agree that our focus can create a unified timeline. Let's choose to stand together. Let's choose to create a harmonized reality. So what I beg of you to do is I want you to spend some time in the next week, maybe even tomorrow, to get a piece of paper, to get a pen, and to write down what you want your collective reality to be. What do you want New Earth frequency to be? We have an opportunity here to create that. So what do you want to see? Here's what I wrote down. Peace, authenticity, connection, equality, unity, forgiveness, abundance, solutions, environmental respect. That's what I want for everyone, for all of us. I don't care if you're a criminal. I don't care if you're inauthentic yourself. I don't care if you're just a bad person, all right? We all deserve that. We all deserve equality, okay? If we can do that, we've proven that we're already in the highest vibration. Yes, I know agendas are rampant. Yes, I know this world is pretty messed up. But the more you focus on it, the more you play this game of us versus them, especially in the spiritual community, the more you create that division and distraction. All right? That being said, thank you all for being here so much. I'm so grateful for just the reality that I have created, that I can bring all of you into. Every single thing that I've wanted to do up until the age of 30, I have accomplished and exceeded. And the biggest thing is I wanted to be able to share these insights, share these downloads, share these explanations, explorations with the world. And I'm doing it. And you guys are all a part of that. And I really do appreciate it. And I hope that upon you observing where I'm at in speaking this information and gaining access to this information, I hope that it inspires all of you to gain access to your own information. You are all intuitively psychic. You are all tapped in. You all have these abilities. But it's not about who is saying what. It's about you deep diving into yourself and feeling the intention. It's not about words. It's not about beliefs. It's not about skin color. It's not about age. It's not about race. Okay? It's not about culture. It's about vibe. It's about how you feel. If you feel good, if you feel uplifted, if you feel excited, if you feel pumped up, if you feel energized, then that's a good vibration for you. If you feel tired, if you feel doubtful, if you feel anxious, if you feel fearful, if you just want to crawl in bed and cry, don't let that vibration into your life. You get a choice. You get to choose that. What are you choosing every day? What are you choosing every day? Because everything that you choose, everything that you think about, everything that you focus on, you create. And you're not just creating it for you. You're creating it for everyone. So be a responsible starseed. Create unity consciousness. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up, share it with your community, and subscribe for more epic videos. And I'll see you all on the July 11th Inner Earth Summit. Super pumped to bring in those beings and see what they have to say about everything that's going on the surface. I will see all of you in the new Earth frequency. Bye for now.